Hello again, football fans, and welcome to a special post-game edition of Miners Live. Week 9 is in the books. This was a very important matchup against the Chicago Cougars. The game that, up until this point of the season, I would argue everything. I guess the better way of saying it is everything that happened for this team up until this point was a stepping stone, if you will. Everything was to get to this point. Week 9 against the Chicago Cougars. Week 10, the London Bulldogs. Good teams in the middle part to later part of the season is where this team is going to be identified. And it was very easy at the beginning of the year to watch Chum Lee, the former Sacramento Miners quarterback, come to our house with new rookie quarterback Miles McCain under the helm and watch that game and say, oh, wait, oh boy, this team won the division 2 years in a row. They just traded away their superstar quarterback. What the hell are they doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever do that? He's only 27 years old. This is the beginning of the end for Coach Dunn and the beginning of the end for the Sacramento Miners. And Frankie, jump up and down. You're going to run away with the division each and every year for all of eternity because the Miners don't know how to run a franchise. And suddenly we find ourselves at the midpoint of the season, and that's not the case. And I tried to say this after week 1, and I wasn't very adamant. I wasn't very defensive. I wasn't very optimistic, I guess is a good way of putting it. I was just simply trying to lay out the expectation for everybody, regardless of who you are, whether or not you're in our locker room or you are just an outsider enjoying the RFL. I tried to lay out the expectation for the Sacramento Miners in week 1. And it was hard to do because in week 1, we got embarrassed. And not only did we get embarrassed, but we got embarrassed by our former quarterback who won the division last year and won the division the year before that. Frankie, did you hear me? Last year, I won the division. 2 years ago, I won the division. I'm just making sure that Frankie can hear me because suddenly it looks like the Sacramento Miners may have an opportunity. Again, I've always been the realist. I've never been super, oh my God, this team is fantastic. This team is going to win every game. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm the best middle linebacker. I have the best everything. No, I don't do those things. I save that for other coaches who shall remain nameless. Those guys can do all they want and they can pump up their own team. That's not me. I said, this is going to be rough. There's going to be growing pains. At this point, I think we have graduated from the growing pains, and I think that it's time to understand that this is where this was the goal. This was everything that we expected it to be. And before we get into too much of tonight's game, I think the number one thing that I want to point out and the number one thing that I want to stress, and after I do this, I will turn it over to him, is that I would like everyone to appreciate the contributions of one particular rookie wide receiver and understand that Connor Jameson has now been promoted to wide receiver number 3. So he entered the season as wide receiver number 4 and kick returner, punt returner. Unless you just don't care about the RFL at all, you would know that he's already run a kickback for a touchdown. Okay, we've got to the point where Connor Jameson has earned his due, and today was the first game where he played in that wide receiver 3 role, and he had more catches today than he had, I believe, the entire season leading up to it, or more catches in this game than any previous game. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Connor and welcome you to this post game. How do you feel about the game tonight?
First of all, thanks so much for the promotion to wide receiver 3. I love that, and I hope I can do everything that you're wanting me to do. Huge thing for me, didn't drop a single ball tonight.
There we go.
That is a big problem. The other 2-3 games that I've played in so far, I had deep balls that I dropped that could have changed the name of the game. So tonight I'm just happy that I didn't drop anything. I got 3 receptions in there for 30 yards, as you can see. Not going to pretend as if that's why we won the game. Obviously, Buck and Pavo put up huge numbers for us tonight, and I was just happy to be there to help take some pressure off them. And I'm hoping to continue to be able to do that and work my way up in the offense.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway for me from all of this is that the wide receiver core runs through Buck Ulbrich. And regardless of whether or not he's on the outside or if he's in the slot or if he gets hurt and he goes to the locker room and we're without him for 10 or 15 or 20 offensive plays, he is the heartbeat of this offense. And Pavo, his second year in the league, I don't know that there is. I guess this would be an interesting thing to dive into. If there's anyone in the RFL that wants to do a deep dive, do me a favor and do a deep dive into the second year wide receivers and find me a wide receiver in the RFL right now that's in his second year that is better than Pavo Frederick. Because I don't know that you can. And if you can, point it out. But remember, Pavo was taken wide receiver 9, I believe. He was the 9th wide receiver. So I promise you're not going to find 8 wide receivers in year 2 that are better than him. On the flip side of the offense, we have the defense. Look, the Chicago Cougars are a great offense. And Mix will be the first person to tell you that maybe they have the best wide receiver in the RFL, or they certainly have one of the top 3 to 5 wide receivers in the NFL. But what I'm here to tell you right now is that the Chicago Cougars looked a lot less like Cougars and a little bit more like, I don't know, another team from Chicago that may or may not play a different sport, that may or may not be represented on my head right now. Those Cougars looked a little bit more like little baby bears.
Hi, Tyler.
I think you call Cubs.
Hi, Tyler.
Okay, so whether or not you want to attribute it to the fact that the game got out of hand early and the quarterback got pulled. No, all right. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to. You don't pull your superstar quarterback. You don't. I'm going to pause because I need people to understand that doesn't happen. And if it does happen, then there's one and only one reason why you did it. Because he's 37 to 45 years old, somewhere in that age bracket. The game is out of hand in the second half. And you're worried about him getting hurt. And it's later in the season. Rob and I have had our back and forths about a lot of things. And this is going to be one of them. I promise you, this is going to be one of them. You do not, under any circumstance, have a X Factor quarterback under the age of 25 and pull him from the game. I don't care what your reasoning is. If it's 27-0, too bad. What benefit do you gain from pulling your quarterback? Oh, wait, hold on. I know what the benefit was. You know what? This was the benefit. This was the benefit. The benefit was Geno Gannon gets pulled from the game. Bastille comes in, and Bastille played better than Geno Gannon. So now what? Now we sit here and we do what? We talk about who's the starting quarterback in Chicago? No, that's not a conversation. That's never going to be a conversation. But he played better. He played better. So there are fans of the RFL that will watch that game and be like, oh, well, they don't need Geno Gannon in order to be good because they didn't play very well in the first half with him, and they played moderately better in the second half with Gannon out of the game. And I get it. You can chalk it up to a million reasons out of our control, a million reasons. I get it. But it goes back to my point. You don't pull an X Factor quarterback under the age of 25. Like, there's no benefit. There's no benefit whatsoever. And I said this, I was mind blown. It was 27-0. I was happy, but I was even more happy when Gannon got pulled from the game. So, can
I throw some numbers at you, Dunn?
Do it. Give me the numbers.
Okay. First and foremost, Geno Gannon, 23 years old with a 99 overall injury rating and 94 toughness. So
why do you pull him? Why is he out of the game?
Okay, so second set of stats. So this is just stats from the game. Both quarterbacks completed 12 passes. Mm-hmm. Bastille had 198 yards, and Gannon had 130 yards and 2 interceptions. Neither had touchdowns there.
Oh. Yeah, so, those are rushing touchdowns.
However, has an 81.4 QB rating, and Geno Gannon got a 43.6, which in the overall grand scheme of things is going to tank his quarterback rating in the file, right. As well as his completion percentage. So Geno Gannon did have a 62% completion rate, and Bastille had a 52. So his completion rating was slightly better than Bastille's, but again, I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, it's Bastille they both completed 12 passes, and Bastille ended up with 68 more yards than Gannon.
Now listen, I will defend the fact that you're going to get better. You're going to get better numbers in the second half of blowout, right? There's things to be said about garbage time, garbage yards, garbage touchdowns, whatever, all of that. But wouldn't you rather? I'm not even going to ask the question, wouldn't you rather? I'm just going to flat out tell you it's a lot better for your 23-year-old X Factor quarterback to get those garbage time yards and completions and possible touchdowns than it is your backup. There's just, in my opinion, zero reason to do that. If you wanted to listen, one thing that a lot of people might not understand, and so I'll point this out. Like, people might be watching and trying to figure out, like, I don't understand, how did you sub out the quarterback in a simulation game? So if you're the home team, you get one substitution. You can make one substitution per game. Rob Mix chose to sub out his starting quarterback late in the second quarter because I get it. At
Don't
that
want that
point,
morale going down.
right. Well, the morale's going to go down anyway. He's the
Yeah,
starting
but I mean,
quarterback.
anymore, you probably didn't want him to get down anymore than what it would be.
Right. And I get that, but there's something to be said about leaving him in there, and maybe he throws 2 touchdowns in the second half. Right? Like,
Even at that
so
ratio, yeah.
I don't get it. And maybe Rob and I, if Rob's watching, if he sees this between now and Wednesday, I'm sure he will say what he has to say on the RFL Live podcast, and we'll just have to wait. I just don't understand. I have said for 2 years now that the number one team that is not in our division that I want to win, that I want to beat whenever I play them is the Cougars. And 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? No, I think it was last year. Last year we played them and we lost. It was a 1 possession game late in the game. They had a late lead and were able to run the clock out and come away with the victory. That division, the ARC North, in my opinion, and is in most people's opinion, is the best division in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And not the ARC, I mean the entire RFL. So to be able to come away with a victory against that team in that division, in that fashion, is impressive.
And at their home, too.
And on the road. And yes, you bring up a great point. And so for Buck Ulbrich and Pavo Frederick and Connor Jameson and Anthony Fry and Miles McCain and all of those guys on offense to do what they did, I tip my cap and I appreciate you. And I say all of that to turn it over to the defensive side of the ball. And Killian Bain, how about doubling up on your sack total? Not even doubling up on your sack total, but going from having 1 sack in one game to having 2 sacks in one game. And now looking like, oh, hey, look, everybody look at me. I could possibly be defensive rookie of the year.
I mean, here's the thing. I go into every week, every game, wanting to find real estate in other teams' backfields. That's my number one goal. Just get in their backfield and cause as much pressure as I can. And this week, the QB just ended up in my arms and going down to the ground for 2 sacks.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I want to do this on a weekly basis, on a yearly basis. I want to, this is how I want to play. I want to be up front, in your face, trying to do my best to stop you, making sure you're uncomfortable. And I'm just going to get better. That's all I'm going to say. I'm just going to get better. This is only the beginning. I'm not done. I don't plan to be done anytime soon.
There we go. I mean, I think that at the beginning of this year, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a power rankings that I believe were put out. And it was like it was the entire league. It was like the RFL power rankings. And it was 1 through 32. And the Sacramento Miners on that list, I believe, were 30. There was only 2 teams on that list that were worse than we are. And look.
Well, that's what happens when we have Miles McCann playing on our team.
You're right. You know what? You're 100% right. I wish that I had a quarterback that had a can-do attitude instead of a can't-do attitude.
If only we weren't stuck with a rookie quarterback that can't play. If only we weren't stuck with one.
Right. And if, you could figure out the situation well before week 9 in the season or well before week 4 in the season, maybe you wouldn't be in this situation. I mean, I'm going to get into this later on in the week. There's, at this point, in my opinion, there's only about 5-6 teams that don't have a chance at making the playoffs. I'm not going to go into who those teams are now, but if you think that you're one of those teams and you have a record that's below 500 and it's significantly below 500, you can probably bet that you're going to be mentioned. Whether or not you think that you're going to be mentioned, or whether or not you think that you have a rookie 6th round quarterback that is going to be your savior. How about Miles McCain? Connor, I'll let you speak a little bit here because I'm already over the time that I wanted to go. So, Connor, I'll give you a little bit here. Let's talk about your quarterback and I guess the progression from week 1 to where we are now.
I mean, obviously, if we're talking like behind the scenes in terms of Madden, if we're just talking about on the field production, I don't know how much kayfabe we want to break here, but
don't tell everyone the locker room secrets. Like, don't tell everyone what goes on in our locker room.
No. I'm not meaning that, but I'm just meaning, we have taken certain steps to really pay attention to what is going to benefit Miles McCain the most. And It's been absolutely amazing having a young user quarterback who is more than willing to take that advice and to turn into what he has this quickly. To transition from just being a like fresh draft pick to now beating a top 10 team, according, if you're right. Every week has been a top 10 team since the beginning of the league for us.
And not only a top 10 team, but arguably a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. And no point during the game were we questioning, by we, I mean you, questioning having to pull him out.
No.
It was, is he going to have his downsides because he's a rookie? Yeah. But so far, his touchdown, I don't have it pulled up right here, but his touchdown to interception ratio grew today.
I think
1
it's
touchdown, 0 interceptions. Obviously,
right.
We would have liked to hit some more touchdowns, but we didn't particularly have to because we were just slowly marching down the field anyways.
Yeah.
We had the ball so much this game. From the fumble recovery to the 2 interceptions, like we had the ball. I would love to see that specifically, but Miles McCain wasn't making mistakes, which is huge. Not throwing interceptions is huge, and I cannot reiterate that enough. In part to your defense, but also just in general to like why Chumlee just wasn't it. If you throw interceptions, the less time you have the ball, the more you're going to lose. It is simply how it is. And Miles McCain makes sure that the ball stays in our hands. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a very important point that we haven't really talked about to this point, and that is the fact that we were able to just move the ball down the field with almost relative ease, right? Yeah. Like the very first possession of the game, drove the ball down the field, ate up some clock, didn't get in the end zone, would have loved to get in the end zone, but got points on the board. And you know what? In a rain sloppy game, getting points on the board are important, right? And so I will shout out to Eric Ashley, who is in the chat right now. Fantastic job today. Listen, there are some things that I did behind the scenes on the offensive side of the ball, and that involved Eric Ashley. Mm-hmm. And I had conversations with him, and I was like, look, I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts? And it worked out. He was open to it. I pulled the trigger on it. It worked out. I moved Eric Ashley from right tackle to left guard because I wanted to see what he would look like at guard. I felt like our offensive line was struggling a little bit in getting the running game going. And Eric Ashley, I felt like was better than some of our other options in terms of, moving the ball via the run. So I wanted to move him to guard to see what would happen. And I know that this was a difficult game to do it with because we could have very easily lost, and we could have very easily lost, in convincing fashion based on what everyone in the league thought, based on what the front office probably thought, based on what the spread probably suggested, based on what the RFL chat probably assumed, we could have very easily lost this game. So I made those changes, and I'm glad that I did, and I think that it worked out. And oddly enough, Damani Manuel had his, I guess you would say, his best game of the year. He hasn't looked that great throughout the season, but in terms of yards per carry, this was the best game Damani Manuel's had all year.
Mm-hmm.
So little tweaks are going to be the difference moving forward. And I'm super excited. Like Connor Jameson getting 3 catches for 30 yards. It's not going to light up the stat books. Everyone knows that. But it's a significant step in the right direction. And
we had
Killian,
we had 4 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and 2 tight ends all get stats tonight. The ball was spread out. Everybody touched the ball. Everybody helped, and everybody got us to the end zone multiple times.
Love it.
And for a rookie quarterback to be able to do that, like, listen, normally when you're a rookie quarterback, you have one guy and you focus on that one guy. And God almighty, I hope that one guy gets open, because if he doesn't, I don't know what to do, because I'm a rookie and I'm scrambling around and I'm under pressure. And oh, look, there's an interception. Oh God, it's a pick 6. We're down 7-0. That's not Miles McCain. Like, that's just not who he is. And so
Smart passer.
He's exactly. You said it best, Bane. He's a smart passer.
Yep.
He does what's there. He doesn't force anything. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, my God, is Pavo Frederick the best second-year wide receiver in the RFL?
Oh my God. The way he catches the ball, it just astounds me every week.
Back shoulder, got you. Out of bounds, like over the shoulder, got you. Oh, corner of the end zone? Don't sweat it, Miles. Guess what? I got you.
It's incredible.
And the crazier part about it to me is that, like, a lot of times when you're watching those catches, he's not particularly contested. Like, he's just wide open a lot.
Yeah.
There's just nobody around him.
Yeah, like it was all right, hold on. Let's get one more. We got Grant Culpepper in the chat. What's up, buddy? You're on mute. Don't be afraid to take yourself off mute. We've got about 3 minutes until we're going to get out of here, but go ahead. Give us Culpepper, give us your thoughts on today's win against the Cougars or the Cubs, however you would like to refer to them.
And everyone, make sure to turn the bass down on your computer so you don't blow out your speakers, because this man's voice is about to rattle.
I already feel the earthquake coming.
Oh man! Hey, we got the win. That's all that matters. And they said that we couldn't do it. We did it. But that's all I care about.
I swear to God, you need to be in movies.
I love it.
I don't know. I don't know who you are, but I do have a very particular set of skills. I do not have money, but I will find you.
Morgan Freeman, who? I want this guy to narrate my life story.
I said that. I think you guys remember when I didn't even know one day in the locker room who was talking. We were in the voice chat.
Oh, yeah,
I was like, who is talking right now? Who is this voice? Like, I'm like, I don't understand.
I mean, when Coach gave me the call, he thought I was high.
Well,
I can't even listen to you right now.
I was in the one of the Discords, and you joined up, and like I had a Morgan Freeman voice changer on, and you joined and started talking. You said, "G-Pep, I swear, man, you need to start doing movies and all this stuff." And like they're like, "Done. It's Connor with a voice mod. G-Pep's not here right now."
I believe it. I believe it.
Oh man, this man was a half a sack. He screaming, screaming.
8 tackles with a tackle for loss and a sack tonight.
Oh,
For G-Pep.
Look at the rookie.
A safety rookie.
Third round pick, I believe. Like, come on,
sir.
All over the place.
This is my guy right here.
G-Pep, I'm a little bit upset because JMO comes in here and the bad guy comes in here and they throw up their highlights from the game. You know, the least you could do is at least put up like a half a sack and tackles for loss. You know, I mean, come on, man.
Nope. All they need to know is my name. That's all
All they need to know is my name. But they don't even know your name. They don't know what GPEP means.
That's all they need to know.
That's all they need to know.
Smitty in here.
He said I heard muscles.
It's Smitty. Oh, it's Smitty's in. We're in trouble. I hear muscles. You hear a lot less than muscles. Smitty, you don't understand. I've legitimately had nightmares about Grant Culpepper's voice because I'm like, what is happening right now?
Well, imagine he tackles you, by the way. Like you get tackled.
No, I don't imagine he tackles me.
Hey, how did that be? Almost a safety, by the way. You just got sacked by a safety.
Listen, I can promise you
There are defensive linemen.
There are three. Listen, guys, I'm just going to throw this out there. Spoiler alert. There are three of you right now that can hear this. And there's only one of you that will never get traded from this team ever. And that's only because I'm afraid you might kill my family. Connor Jameson, look, 4 or 5 years from now, you're still struggling. You're struggling, not still struggling. You're struggling. That sounded bad. 4 or 5 years from now, you're struggling. Man, you know what? Bane, listen. 4 years from now, you've only got 3 sacks at the midway point. Man, you know what? You might find yourself on the trade block.
You know,
Culpepper, on the other hand, could have 0 tackles, 0 sacks, and 0 downs played, and I'm not trading him.
Yeah, hey, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
coach. I didn't mean to. Like, okay, you're fine. Go back to the locker room.
Nope. Grant
not good
Culpepper does not know what the trade block smells like. No, he doesn't. Look at EA in the chat. Bane and GPEP, the villains of Sacktown. Listen, Bane is the bad guy. For those of you that don't know, I know there's got to be people out there that are like old school WWF wrestling fans. Oh, geez. What did you just do?
I was born in the darkness.
oh my god,
guys, I can't make this up.
All right, Dan, you gotta go.
You know what? Let's just change our last names. GFL, let's just change our last names. You can add Bane.
Can we change? Yeah, Grant Bane and Killian Culpepper actually sounds pretty good. For being honest,
I'll take it. Why not?
All right, Killian Culpepper.
Well, I guess someone likes the sound of that.
Honestly,
there are people going crazy in the background. Apparently, the ladies are waiting outside for Culpepper. He got a half a sack. Oh, there's doors. The doors are being opened. The doors are being opened. The doors are being opened. The ladies have officially entered the locker room. All right, Bane, you got 2 sacks. You got 2 sacks on the day. Any final words? Last words. What do you got?
On to next week. Let's do this.
On to the next week. All right, Connor, congratulations on the promotion. Wide receiver number 3. Where you go?
What?
Where do you go from here?
Where do I go from here? I mean, more receptions. Again, catch me in the opposing team's red zone. All right. If we're up close, I don't know about that. Catch me on the other side of the field. Hit me down there with the ball. All right.
All right. And Culpepper, I've got a couple women in the background here that are apparently waiting for your phone number. So I will hit you up in DMs after. And great job today. And again, everybody, congratulations on the big win. This is going to do a lot for the team moving forward. Obviously, next week against the Bulldogs will be another big challenge. But yeah, I guess all I can say is shout out to Miles McCain. Great job tonight. Connor Jameson, Killian Bane, Grant Culpepper, EA, Anthony Fry. I know you probably didn't get a chance to watch yet, and that's unfortunate because I promise you between now and the time you actually get a chance to watch, you're going to find out what happened. So congratulations to all the Sacramento Miners on the big win tonight against the Chicago Cubs. And on that note, we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.